Reactive Training Systems.
What is up? This is Jim Ellie with Reactive Training Systems, and today I'm going to go over with you 5 nutritional tips to stay on track with your nutritional goals in the long run. The first tip is to actually have a goal in the first place. It's quite straightforward, but many people miss the mark when they start their plan because they don't fully outline their goal and they don't think about and visualize why they have that goal in the first place. The best way to actually have a goal is to visualize where do you want to be in the next year, 2 years, and 3 years. And what will that look like from a training approach? And then for this video, what does that look like from a nutritional approach? How do you have to tackle the next 6 months of your nutritional plan to put yourself in a position to reach that longer term goal? Once you've done that, once you've decided, hey, I want to bulk, I want to cut, I want to maintain my body weight for a while, then you can get into the next tip. And the next tip is to actually establish a plan. When you have your goal, then you can move into the plan. If the plan is to cut, how are you going to do that? What does your caloric requirement look like so that you can lose weight? How many grams of protein, carbohydrates, and fat do you need to put yourself in a position where, in the long run, you can actually reach your goal? The next step is to habituate your nutritional processes. What I mean by that is we want to minimize the decision fatigue associated with our nutritional approaches. Decision fatigue is effectively the fatigue generated from all of the decisions that we have to perform in a given day. You might have noticed that you don't have to think too much about brushing your teeth in the morning because it's a habit already established in your life. So it's not difficult for you not only to brush your teeth, but to find where your toothbrush is. It's in the same spot every day, it's in the same place, the toothpaste in the same spot, you know exactly where it is, you do it on autopilot. And for 80% of our nutritional journey, ideally it should be on autopilot. It's much easier to stick with your nutritional approach, with your nutritional plan, when you're not constantly deciding which food you like to consume. There's a big trend, and there has been a big trend in the flexible dieting, if it fits your macros approach to nutrition. And while it's very important to be flexible, if you don't have any structure, if you don't have any habits in place, the flexibility becomes much more stressful than people would actually like it to be and how people used to talk about it. In fact, if you have most of your nutritional plan and most of your nutritional approaches habituated, then when it does come time for you to be flexible, and when you do need to be flexible, you can be, because you won't be thinking and stressing out about whether or not you'll be able to get back on plan, if you'll be able to get back on track. Because if you establish habits, you eat the same breakfast, you eat the same lunch, you eat the same dinner, or maybe you have a rotation of a few options that are easily available. You don't have to go to the grocery store every meal so you can combine the right macronutrient ratios for the meal that you like to consume. Well, let's say you have a family event on Saturday. Well, maybe you don't have total control, but you do know that when you have all control, when there are no other outside influences, you can get right back on track and there's not much issue in doing so. And one of the ways to do that is to prioritize your preferences, and that's number 3. Prioritize your preferences. And what do I mean by preferences? I mean your nutritional preferences. Which foods do you find you consume the most often that also align with your nutritional plan? So in the morning, for example, perhaps you love to eat egg whites because they allow you to hit your protein target, but they don't push the fat target too high, so you have room for your dinner. Dinners are typically more fatty, and usually at the end of the day, we have more fatigue in the first place. So we want to have a lot of options as we get closer to the end of the day. So in my recommendation, keeping the fat low for your breakfast allows for protein to be high and carbs to be high, and you can actually get full. Either way, it's up to you to figure out what your preferences are and then develop the rest of your plan based on those preferences, so you're not going against your natural inclination. Another thing that's very important, this is tip 4, is to stick to whole foods when making the majority of your meals. This accomplishes 2 things. It gives us higher quality food, which usually increases the micronutrient content of that food. So you're able to, keep your immune system healthy. You get the vitamins and the minerals that you need, as well as it increases the fiber content of that food. And typically, whole foods are more voluminous, which means that you can get more food for fewer calories. So you can stay fuller longer and get less calories, which is crucial, especially if you're dieting, to have more voluminous foods. Things like vegetables, fruits, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, food that is higher in carbohydrate content that tastes really good. Things like rice, things like potatoes, popcorn. I like to have hash browns, which are just sliced up potatoes in the morning. Fills me up really good. Oatmeal, things like that are whole food. Number 5 is to embrace the struggle and embrace the process. Not all of you are gonna struggle the same. Some of you have a lower caloric requirement for any of your goals. If you're a smaller individual, you have to accept that you're not going to be able to eat the same amount as your 6-foot partner who's 300 pounds. And that's just the reality, and it's difficult. It's really difficult, but if you embrace who you are and what your own goals are and what is required for your own goals and taking responsibility for those, then you can actually move forward. A lot of times people struggle because they see other people eating a lot more for the same result, and they're frustrated because they wish they could do that. The issue is that doesn't put you in a position to stick with your goals in the long run. So the biggest thing is going to be embracing what is required and fully accepting and taking responsibility what is going to be required for you to get to where you need to be. And sometimes that requires a lot more sacrifice than people anticipate. Sometimes that means shifting friend groups. Sometimes that means differing your environment, as we talked about in the first example, is putting yourself in a position where if you are in a bad nutritional environment, you adapt and you overcome that. But other times it means hanging out with people that do consume foods that are lower in calories, that aren't constantly pressuring you and challenging you, so that it makes it a bit easier for you to, at the end of the day, change your life. And that's the biggest thing, is that this is, for the most part, the decisions that you're making are lifestyle changes, not, tomorrow I'm just gonna eat a little bit less. Almost all of the goals, if they mean anything, if you're gonna see any result, are gonna take some time. So the quicker that you embrace what's required and fully accept and take responsibility for those decisions, the quicker you're gonna get on track towards those nutritional goals and have less of a resistance when things get hard, when things get rough. You can just embrace it, do what you have to do, and move on. I hope those 5 tips were helpful. I hope you benefit from these. I really enjoyed making this video. If you enjoyed it, share it with your friends, hit the like and subscribe button. Let me know what you want to hear more about in the nutritional field. It's something we're gonna get more out in the next few weeks, years, months, whoever. What do you struggle with the most? Leave that in the comment section below when it comes to your nutritional plan. What do you struggle with the most? Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you guys in the next video.
Reactive training systems.